Hi. Okay, so now we're going to dive into chapter 2, which is communication, perception, and the self. Those are very big concepts, and to combine them into one chapter can be a little bit daunting. So there'll be a lot that we need to do in order to fully grasp material, and you'll certainly find that the learning unit for this chapter will be much bigger because it doesn't just include this chapter, it also includes the chapter on culture as well. But nonetheless, perception is significant. Perception is critical. If you think about it, it's the foundation of thought and behavior. I mean, we think in accordance to what we perceive. We certainly behave in accordance to how we interpret what we perceive. And so perception is very critical to understanding human behavior and to understanding your own behavior. Then the concept of self. Your self-concept and your self-esteem and your view of yourself is a lens that affects your communication and affects what you receive. So it's both sending and receiving. Just imagine giving a compliment to somebody with very low self-esteem, and you've seen the effects the self-esteem, or rather the self, can have on communication. So the chapter is going to begin by examining perception first, and so we'll spend some time there. In the chapter, we'll first talk about the notion of perception and the process of perception. It is a stage, a series. It's got us, and the first one, as you can see, are attending and selecting. What does that mean? That means that you are constantly bombarded with stimuli all of the time, and you cannot pay attention, and you do not pay attention to everything all at once. You'll end up in sensory overload. Your body, in order to sort of keep you sane to a degree, filters out things. So there's only certain things that you notice. And that's that process of attending, and your body is selecting that which you pay attention to and that which you just don't see. And there are certain criteria that influence that, one of which is repetition. You may not notice somebody's ums, ers, likes, or you knows, but when they repeat themselves over and over and over and over, you notice. You notice things that are intense, things that are contrasting. That's what sells a highlighter. You know, highlighters, if you think about the colors, they're never in bland, neutral colors. They're in fluorescent green, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent pink, designed to catch your attention. And they work. You notice things that are consistent with your own personal motives. I'm more likely to notice somebody's speech pattern. My husband does a lot of videography. He's more likely to notice a camera angle. I remember the day that I first was told I was pregnant. I saw pregnant women everywhere, and I swear they were not there before the doctor told me, but all of a sudden they come because my motives have changed, my awareness has changed. So that's that process of attending and selection. And so again, the idea of mindfulness and selective perception. It's important to understand that you really aren't seeing everything that's there. You think you are, but you're not. And then with the data that does come in and does sort of filter in, you have to make sense of that data, and that's where the process of organization comes in. There's a variety of different schemas or categories or templates that you may sort information according to. And your book talks about relational schemas. There are a variety of types of things. You may look at somebody's clothing and see a stethoscope or see a badge or see a uniform, and organize that perception according to what you see there. And of course, the process of stereotyping has a lot, comes into play here. Thirdly is interpreting, and that's deciding what you're going to do about it. Okay, you've seen it, you've begun to make sense of it. Now what? And this is where the process of evaluating, do you feel threatened by the sounds of the footsteps in the alley behind you? Or is it non-threatening, simply somebody else is taking the same shortcut? So how you interpret that ultimately is what will determine your behavior. Retrieving, an interesting item to include in the perception process in this particular textbook, and this is relevant. I say interesting because it's not in every textbook, but these particular authors are making the argument that many times we are encountering an event we may have been through previously. And so we retrieve from past memories sort of a script on how it went in the past, and using that to formulate some opinions on how it might go right now. And we don't all remember the same thing. And that's what the notion of selective retention is about. So I'm going to stop this for now. There's a lot more to go through, but I want you to take a look at a video, and then we'll plow through some more things in this chapter. Okay.